Good evening, humans. Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the AEW Unmatched 7 Pac figure from Jazwares. I missed out on the original Pac figure, though from what I gather, there's some kind of mixed stuff with that. However, this figure, especially having in hand, feels kind of special and different. And why is that? Well, let's talk about it. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this figure looks fantastic, and while admittedly Pac has a very straightforward look, sometimes that's the hardest to pull off, certainly for action figure companies, but honestly, I think they nailed it here. Pretty much everything, like, I think the buck is pretty much perfect. Like, it definitely looks like Pac's build. Just the way they did the trunks and the kick pads and all that, like, just pretty much perfect use of folds and just really great sculpt all around. It looks realistic, though. The weight of the look, if you will, pretty much spot on. I think they nailed it there. And yeah, just a great looking figure overall. Head sculpt, and there are multiple, and we'll get into that in the next section. But what we get out of the package is the eye patch and the stern look, and I definitely think that looks just like Pac himself. And his hair is definitely going to be an interesting one to sculpt, certainly for an action figure, because he has the undershave, and the hair is, I think, always going to look thicker than it actually does in real life, just because you need to have something to sculpt. But I think they did a fantastic job here and really kind of got the effect across. So just beautifully done here from the sculpting team at Jazwares. And beyond that, I mean, again, it's black and red for the gear, and just the skin tone for the rest of the plastic, and I think they nailed it. So yeah, that's aesthetics. Great selection of accessories here with Pac, so let's jump right in. And starting with hands, as we normally do, we actually get two different types of grips. So on the left, we have kind of a standard C grip, very, very much loose, almost a grasping hand, a lock-up hand. But for the right, we get kind of a standard grip, obviously working more with one of the accessories we'll talk about in a few moments. So just the variation there, and I've always known that's been a thing, but seeing them like kind of in tandem definitely kind of drives home that, okay, yes, the Jazwares uses two different grips. So there you go. And then our other two hands are just a pair of fists, and it's pretty much what we've seen with multiple other figures again. So occasionally, depending on the figure, these seem kind of small. It's kind of debatable, I guess, here, but yeah, so there's that. And speaking of that other gripping hand, there is a mic here, so AEW logo on all four sides of that. And then again, just we've seen this a number of times at this point with various figures and setups. So there's that. Then we get three different head sculpts. So as we looked at in the last section, just right out of the box, we get the eye patch, a very stern look, very pirate-esque, if you will. But again, really like the way they did it, especially considering his undershave and kind of making that work, especially in this format. Then we get a yelling head without anything covering any eyes. And again, just very, very well done, especially, with the mouth and kind of giving us some depth. I think they did a great job here. So yeah, fantastic all around there. And then finally, we get the blindfolded face, obviously right after he got the mist from Malachi Black. I love that this figure includes that. So we get the entire progression of this arc, and which I thought was great. One of my favorite things the past couple of years in wrestling. And yeah, just awesome to see that in one figure. So yeah, that's accessories. Articulation and balance here are beautiful, as you can see, so we can hold a freestanding kick right off the bat. Just beautiful, love it. And then getting into the nitty gritty, so we are on that ball hinge for the head. So we are looking up about that far. We get some nice room under that head sculpt. The hair doesn't really get in the way here because of the way it's sculpted, which is very, very nice. We get some very nice down. Oh, I got some grip on the ropes there. So we get a little bit of tilt as well, again, because we got some room under that sculpt. Of course, we get tilt for arms. We're coming up into a Y pose. Absolutely beautiful. Then we get bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, folding completely in half. We get hinge and swivel for the wrists. We get a ball joint at the diaphragm, a ball joint at the waist, and that gives us fantastic crunch and fantastic arch back. Pretty much any AEW figure where the wrestler doesn't have like a top of any sort, they seem to be able to nail the articulation there on the torso, and I am all for that. We don't get a bunch of tilt. We don't get any tilt actually. Kind of surprises me, but it is a tight sculpt here at the top part of the torso. Come down to the hips, pretty much full splits, positively beautiful. Then we get front kick, and we're not quite hitting 90, but we're very, very, very close. So that is very nice. We get thigh swivel, we get double jointed knees, hindered slightly by those pads, so we're getting kind of just past 90. We do have a boot cut, which I gather the original Pac did not have, so definitely instrumental. We get some very, very nice point. Not really any forward, but we do get some pretty decent rocker. So that's articulation. Getting into size comparisons, here he is with the rest of Death Triangle from this wave, with some other AEW figures, with some other wrestling lines, with some Hasbro and some Mattel, with some imports, with some monsters. Finally, with articulated icons, Oni and yours truly in human form as a Valaverse Action Force figure. So my final thoughts on the AEW Unmatched 7 Pac figure from Jazwares is that this is a kick-ass figure, pardon me. And honestly, I love Pac as a wrestler, and I think this is just a great version of him in plastic, and probably my favorite of the wave so far, certainly. And that's saying a lot considering there is a Penta in this wave. So yeah, I heartily recommend this. And you know, probably by the time this video goes up, this will hopefully be hitting shelves in Targets and Walmarts, etc. But if not, it is available possibly online. AEW has not really been great about the distribution so far anyway. I mean, hopefully that improves as time goes on. But so I think maybe Ringside might have this up, and if so, I will have a link, maybe a link or two in the description below. So please check that out if you are so interested. And yeah, all that being said, I hope you found this review informative and somewhat entertaining. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. But ultimately, I just hope to see you back here, because I do multiple reviews a week of action figures related to tokusatsu, dinosaurs, monsters, pro wrestling, and more. And so if any of those interest you, certainly if more than one interest you, come on back. Let's talk some more toys. Let's have some more fun. Let's escape the world for a while. And yeah, with all that being said, I hope you're well. I hope that all of your toy dreams come true. And most importantly, I hope that you and yours stay weird, simians.